Welcome to another podcast of Adeel Pirzada podcast. I'm your host, Adeel Pirzada, and today we got another exciting episode at our office. Joining me here is Mr. Kevin Padillo. How are you doing, Kevin?
Yeah, fantastic host part 2. Glad to be here today. We're going to be talking about something really cool, and I'll let Adeel introduce the title.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so today actually we're thinking about discussing something different. And it's still not off the topic. It's still about construction and real estate. And actually we wanted to just put an economy and actually places together. So today we're discussing about construction and real estate in Edmonton and Calgary as well, and Alberta and Canada as a whole. And actually in North America, including USA as a whole. So today's topic is about construction and real estate in Edmonton and / North America. So actually, Kevin was recently up in the north of Calgary. He was in Edmonton. Yeah. And what other place did you visit it, Kevin?
Yeah, so I did a couple site visits. I drove up to Red Deer, Edmonton, Vermilion, south, north, east, west Edmonton, and really enjoyed my time. And I found so many great things about the real estate market that I've learned, and I shared this with Adeel, and we're going to go deep into that today. And I want to share with you about the construction and differences kind of between Calgary and Edmonton in terms of real estate and construction.
Yeah, so like Edmonton is another great city, and it's north of Calgary, so it's right in the middle of Alberta, and it's actually the province capital. Actually, there is a lot happening right now. So as a Canadian, I can tell you that real estate is hot in Canada right now. And it's been like that. Obviously, everyone knows since COVID, we had those increase in prices and shortage of homes. So that's still playing out, and it's playing out heavy in Canada. And Alberta, actually, our premier did a really good job. A lot of people are not liking it, but I think it's good for the economy. For a long run, it's a good thing for Alberta. Sure, there are plus and minuses. There is pros and cons, but a lot of people are moving here, and our premier did a good job advertising Alberta as a good place for Canadians to live, and like any other free democracy, it's a right of every Canadian to be able to mobilize and live and find a suitable place for themselves. And Alberta is actually a great province, hence the reason we love here. When you compare to other cities, some of the other cities, for sure they got all their pros, and there are a lot of good things about them. But a lot of good things are about Alberta that we don't look at it. So it's a great province, and we have a lot of people moving. And a lot of people are finding, ways to find their new life in here. And so Calgary is the top-notch city, is the number one in Alberta. It's the biggest city. I think we're number 3 or 4 in entire Canada in terms of, a big urban city. And then we got Edmonton, which is the north of Calgary, and pretty much the same size, but Calgary is bigger in population, and then there's dynamics are a little bit different, but two great cities in a one province. 3 hours away. It's a really good thing. And the economy for both cities are good, and actually, a lot of people are moving to Calgary right now, but down the road, I do see a lot of people moving to Edmonton because Calgary market is going to get oversaturated. There's too many people moving here that it can only hold off and afford so many people until it fills up too much, and then it will be Edmonton. There used to be a point when Calgary and Edmonton were pretty much the same population, maybe about 10, 20, maybe 30, 40,000 people difference, but I think it's a huge difference now.
Yeah, Calgary has more. Calgary has 1.6 million.
Oh,
and
wow.
Edmonton has 1.58.
That's a lot of
So
people.
very close.
That's a lot of people. I remember when Calgary reached 1 million, and that was like a lot. Oh, wow, we're like 1 million people. So I didn't know. I thought we were still at 1.2, 1.3. So that's crazy. We're at 1.6 million. That's a lot of people for a city. And then Edmonton is what?
1.5.
Okay, so they're about 100,000 people away. Yeah, so Calgary does have more people and does tend to having and attracting more people. But like I said, once Calgary overfills, it will be kind of going towards Edmonton, and still a lot of people are actually moving to Edmonton. Edmonton has a lot of jobs it's an oil and gas hub for Alberta, and then there's a lot of good things happening in Edmonton right now. So that's something Kevin wanted to share today. That what he saw in some of his meetings, and he had a good tour around the city. So there's a lot happening in Edmonton as well.
Yeah, so the 4 things that I really want to share with you today about the city of Edmonton and what I really enjoyed. Overall, from a high level, I really enjoyed Edmonton and its nature. Some people say Edmonton's kind of an ugly city, but I thought the same as well once. But when I came back again, I drove down, I noticed 2 really cool things about the city. The nature, there's a lot of trees. I really love trees and bushes and stuff like that. And also they have 2 major bridges that connect to downtown. One is it's like a white arch bridge. It's like peaked. And it looks white. And the other one is an old iron bridge.
Is that like the lower and upper bridge, right?
One's high, one's low, and then another one is high. It's high up, and it's old, like really old. It's made out of steel. It was like made when Canada was created. It was a really old bridge.
Super old.
Really cool. Yeah. And what I really love about this, and the 4 things I want to share with you, and then as Adeel kind of chimes in, is the commercial development in Edmonton versus Calgary, is the fact that Edmonton has a lot of development, a lot of stores, a lot of retail buildings, a lot of commercial plazas being built from the ground up, is what I noticed from the highway to passing through Anthony Henday towards the hotel. You could see a lot of commercial development. And surprisingly, from what I've seen, more than Calgary, from what I judge. I'd have to see more of a comparison, but from my initial reaction, that was what I've seen. Some great examples are in South Edmonton, Common, downtown Edmonton, and then the growth of Ellerslie. We do have a couple projects happening in Ellerslie. We completed a project many years ago before I joined. It's Meet the Bun. And that's a great project. It was really nice. One of my favorite finishes, actually, is Meet the Bun.
Yeah,
I really like those.
Edmonton, we actually done a lot of projects in downtown. Actually, Pircon kind of started off one of the early on projects that we got that was franchise related work. That was in Edmonton, the first project. Not a first commercial, but the first commercial tenant improvement was in Edmonton.
The Bun was the first one?
No. That was way long ago.
Okay.
So it was Treats Cafe. I don't know if that franchise exists anymore or not. Probably not. But maybe they're still around.
Yeah.
They did have a lot of stores in Edmonton, about 8 or 9. And Pircon was put in task of renovating them. They were going through a rebranding, so Pircon did that. With the Treats brand. Edmonton, yeah, it's a really nice city. Like, my 2 words on that is I like Edmonton, but I love Calgary. Like, I hands down Calgary. No hard feelings for all the Edmonton people, and the people who love Edmonton. It's just Calgary is a better. I think it's a better location overall. We're very close to the mountains. We're an hour away from Banff, and hour and a half for Lake Louise. So a lot of skiing and snowboarding and all that stuff nearby us. So, and we're more on the south. So our weather is a little bit better. It does matter. We're closer to USA. I don't know if it means anything, even though that's the part of the USA, which is the north for the USA. Nobody lives. Yeah, like we're closer. We're on a Trans-Canada Highway, so we're further in the south. I definitely hands down between Edmonton and Calgary. Calgary is definitely a best, and still Calgary is not. Still, actually, Calgary is not my top list. It's not my retirement type of city. It's a great city. I actually was part of the city of Calgary. Basically urban development, right? So I got to see how the city is growing. Our underground infrastructure is one of the best in the world, not in just Canada or North America, in the world. I see a lot of good things and happening here. The city, the way it's been designed and planned, we've been the cleanest city for so long. And I think we still make it to the top 10 or top 2 or 3 in the world still. There's a lot of parks there. There's a lot of good things in Calgary, but it's still not the favorite city in the world. But it's my home, and I love it, and I enjoy it. I enjoy it more than other cities in Canada for some reasons, and we're growing, so it's getting better. Like 20 years ago, Calgary was a really boring city. And now as more people are moving in,
more money is coming
more money is coming, and more things are happening here. More things are opening up here. Yeah. But one thing we can change, no matter how many people we get, is the weather, right? Is the winter that we get here. But other than that, it's a great city. It's a great planning around. It's a great infrastructure that we have. It's a great highway system that we got in. And it's a great scenery and a great environment for a lot of things when you compare it apple to apple. Calgary is a really good city, but I would rate Edmonton on number 2 just because of Alberta. And just to let you know why I actually highly value Alberta over BC or Ontario, some of the great provinces and great places, is just because the laws, the policy is much better. We're like Texas of USA in a good way. And what I mean is
no taxes here, very low,
very little taxes. The landlord laws are great. Dealing in real estate is great. It's cheap. I'm a realtor. I've been in real estate for 20 years, and some of the cheapest real estate in Canada that I've seen is in Alberta, and some of the cheapest fees that across the provinces when you compare is in Alberta. Like, we still don't have our land title cost is so low. There's no transfer fee when you sell a home or buy a home. If you are doing the same thing in Ontario and BC, you're bombarded with tons of fee. Like, to buy or sell one house, it costs you so much money. And one good thing about Alberta, we don't have that here. We have a very small, like, when you buy a conventional home in Calgary, you can get away paying $500 a lawyer fee, maybe $1,000, and that's it. About $500 maybe a few years ago, and sure, it has changed up with inflation, but still under $1,000, you're done. That's not the case when you're in Vancouver or Toronto. So, it's affordable. It allows money to move faster. And then there is not too much of red tape, even though we have a lot of red tape issues. But again, Pircon has worked pretty much in every city in Canada. Well, not every, but most of the provinces and their main cities, right? And when I compare even our the city system in terms of getting permits and all that, it's a lot more or less red tape that we have here than you would find it somewhere else. Like Vancouver is just crazy. You have to get so many different permits. And Pircon has worked in USA too. And USA, even though I put it in a very high shelf up there in terms of, conducting business, and it's a capitalist market, so they know what they're doing and they know how to move money and how to move work. But still, every state is different. And then some of the states I've dealt with, they're maybe a little bit better than Calgary, but Calgary still stands out in a lot of things. Like, if you need just a lot of examples, like, even though we don't have a very old infrastructure here, but you still need an old drawing, you can pull it off from Calgary database. You can go to the city and ask them, they can pull out old drawings. Some other cities, you can't do that because they don't have anything to begin with. So there's still good things. just the way, like, there's so many things that I can talk about when it comes to construction and real estate. Even as a setup, we're done a really good setup. We know what's in the ground. Everything's kind of been marked. The city has records of that. We know the pipes and their sizes and their depth. A lot of cities don't have that information. They don't know what's in the ground. And yes, Calgary does have those issues too. There are some very old areas and we don't know what's in there, and engineers have no idea, and the city is, blah, 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 all those issues. But it's still a lot better than a lot of cities. So as a developer, as a real estate real estate investor, real estate agent, real estate company, as a construction company, as a GC, I really like a lot of things that happens in Calgary. And Edmonton, we don't want to put, because this episode is about Edmonton. So Edmonton is same way. There were basically, Calgary, Edmonton are like two twins. If you look at from the far, sure, we have our differences and there's a lot of rivalry, but if you look at from the far, they're like twins, brother. So they're pretty much the same, and the infrastructure and the ways the planning has happened is pretty much the same.
Yeah. So much covered there, and I really cool to see. You talk about infrastructure in the cities and how cities are built. I really love what I really like about Edmonton and just watching how cities are built. I want to build a city, to be honest. So that's one of my goals. I want to build a huge city.
Entire city.
Yeah, and because it has so many cool parts to make sure that a city runs powerfully. So such as having natural resources, enough jobs, enough industries for people to work, building highways and roads, and then all the water and the sewage that needs to get managed, and all the highways and planning and development of specific areas. What I learned about Edmonton is there's a lot of construction going on, and I could tell it's strategically placed. So those traveling right into Edmonton, they're building lots of commercial in certain areas where people are traveling. So high traffic near residential areas. There's also a lot of oil and gas, just what Adeel has covered. There's a lot of different oil and gas rigs, facilities. They have Enbridge, they have Suncor, all these firms pumping oil. In the outskirts of the city, they have great roads that I like. What I like about those roads versus Calgary's roads is that there's a multi-lane roads in Edmonton. There's like 4-car lane going one way, 4-car lane going the other way. Calgary has a lot of 1-car lane each way or 2-car lanes each way, which is great. But imagine having 4, but means you'd need to have wider areas and wider available areas and rights of way of land. So that's an interesting thing of what I've learned about Edmonton. And finally, the multicultural aspect, how there's just so much, how they have so much different cultures, just like Calgary does. There's a lot of Indian people, a lot of Filipino people, Asians, Native, white people, black people, and just the culture is great. And I see a lot of very successful people from Southeast Asia, so India, Pakistan, business owners growing there. So it's really cool to see and very inspiring to see immigrants being successful in business, and so much lessons to learn there. So I'm very grateful.
Yeah, for sure. Like I would say, like I said, if I would rate at Calgary number 1, Edmonton would be number 2. I wouldn't really ask for another city. Like I wouldn't say Vancouver or Toronto. Like I don't think, especially for immigrants, especially for someone starting their life, it's not. I don't even know how people possibly do it in Vancouver and Toronto. But overall, Alberta, it's a great place to be. We got the sunshine, all the sunshine you need, and then the mountains. We don't have the beach, unfortunately. That's the only thing we're missing. But I think it pretty much has everything else that you would look for. We got very nice parks and rivers and lakes. So it's like a full of natural resources. And then, there's the oil and gas money. And Alberta is a big energy hub, so sure, like oil and gas is fading away. But, what I'm glad to see is that a lot of energy related stuff happening in Alberta. We need more of it. It's Canada's basically capital when it comes to energy. So I hope it stays that way. And overall, like I said, the policies here are much better than compared to other provinces.
Yeah.
There's a lot less red tape. reminds me a lot about America, like, a freedom in a way. And that's kind of feel when I think about Alberta, and other places feel like kind of closed in. So it's a good place, and there is a lot of land. So we're not running out of land like Toronto, or Vancouver. So we got all the land you need, all different for different directions. So there is going to be a lot of building. So good things. So another thing, reason why we're discussing about Edmonton is just to discuss about the future. So a lot of good things are happening for Canada. Canada is a new country, basically a growing country. We got a massive land, very little people, mainly because of weather. But good things are happening because Canada is still a better country compared to a lot of countries out there. USA is still on the top one, I would say. Especially when it comes to business and growth and learning and innovation and all that stuff. But Canada is there. It's not as big, it's a little brother, but it has a great future as well. Like in North America overall, I don't know much about the rest of the world, but when I look at North America, it smells good, it looks good, good things are happening for real estate and construction. So I think if you're interested in this area and this kind of the atmosphere of North America, you can be very successful, and you can just doing real estate and construction. There's a lot of opportunities. We're in shortage of homes. America is in shortage of homes. So there is a lot of new homes needs to be built. That means there is a lot of undeveloped land that needs to be developed, and a lot of new communities needs to be built. So guess what? There's going to be a lot of real estate transaction happening. There is going to be a lot of new constructions coming. That brings a lot of new jobs. Each house that you build, that we build, or a builder builds, it brings 60 types of different jobs. So you just think about that, right? All these homes being built, it's good for the economy because they give money. They put it puts food on a lot of people's table. So it's very important, right? For an economy or for a place to have that kind of environment where there's a growth, things are happening. So just because we're new, there's a lot of development, a lot of building, a lot of new communities, a lot of new infrastructure, schools, churches, mosques, playgrounds, entertainment areas. All those needs to be built. And who's going to build that? All of us, right? It's us. It's us, yeah. Canadian, American, North American. And America is in the same boat. There is a lot of people, a lot of immigration in USA too. Some states are busier than the other, but there are shortage of homes over there as well, maybe up to 10 million. So it's there. They can have a huge growth too, but it depends, right? One area could be different from the other, but overall, it's a good news for Canada and USA. Well, that's what I wanted to share today.
Go Canada.
Yeah, go Canada, go Edmonton, go Calgary. And
go Oilers.
Yeah, and I actually hope, because a lot of people are moving here, so I hope, like, in one of, the people moving here, a group of people that are moving here, it actually lands on our video, and then they get to see it, so they kind of understand why we're saying that these are better. And then they don't know. Sometimes they don't know where they want to go, and they don't know the difference. So as a whole, as Alberta is a good place to be in. I mean, you can pick Calgary, you can pick Edmonton, Red Deer, Lethbridge, whatever, depending on your job and where you are and what you're doing. There's a lot of good opportunities there. So yeah, and before I finish, I just want to say, if you guys have any questions or anything that you want us to share with you, because we have the real estate and construction background, do let us know. We'll be more than happy to answer any of your comments.
Please support Adeel's campaign as he runs for mayor of Edmonton. Voting starts soon.
Yeah. Yeah, I need 2 votes per person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no interest in politics. I'll stay away from as far as I can from it. But
You think you could do it? Adeel has good leadership skills from a high level. I can see him the way Adeel is in the office is since I'm around him every day. The way I see him carry himself is, has great leadership qualities.
oh,
there.
thanks. I appreciate it, Kevin.
One thing is like a lot of world leaders. I find it. He sits cross-legged, so it's like an interesting way. I see the presidents sit cross-legged and stuff, so I'm like, I wonder why they always
Really,
sit
huh?
cross-legged. It's very interesting why they do that. So body language, study.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. It's all natural. Just the talent flowing, Yeah. Okay, guys. Thanks a lot for being part of our podcast. We appreciate you for joining us. Like I said, if there's any question, comments, do let us know. We'll try to help you out. And we have a big network of real estate agents and mortgage brokers and financing people and construction people and contractors and subtrade. So for sure, there's one way or another we can try to help you out with any of those needs. If not, please hit the like button. Do subscribe our channel and keep watching.
Have a great day, everyone.
Have a
See
good
ya.
one. Bye-bye.